Good morning, OFN 41. Nah, that's not gonna work for me, y'all. That's not gonna work for me. Good morning, OFN 41. That is mo better, mo better. All right. For those of you who do not know me, I am John Holdsclaw, President and CEO of Rochdale Capital. I'm also the Executive Vice President and Chief Policy Officer of the National Cooperative Bank. And I'm a proud OFN board member. Let me say that. As well as the Vice Chair of the Policy Committee. And it is my absolute privilege to introduce one of the true champions of the industry and a tireless advocate for CDFIs. When Senator Warner came to the United States Senate in 2008, he brought with him 2 decades of experience in business and public service. As the governor of Virginia, he was committed to supporting small businesses and strengthening local investment, and developed a deep appreciation for the power of CDFIs to drive opportunity. In fact, he didn't just support the CDFI model, he built one himself, founding the Virginia Community Capital, which we now know as Locus, a CDFI, Locus, let's give it up. A CDFI that continues to invest in communities across Virginia. Since arriving in the Senate, Senator Warner has continued to be a tireless, bipartisan problem solver and a true champion of our movement. Under his leadership, he saw the creation of the Community Development Finance Caucus, the first ever congressional caucus focused on CDFIs and MDIs. From working with the administration to affirm the importance of CDFIs to securing critical funding and advancing new CDFI investments through legislation like the National Defense Authorization Act. Every time our movement has faced a challenge, Senator Warner has been right there standing with us. Rochdale Capital was proud to call him our senior senator from the Commonwealth of Virginia, and I am proud to be the person who he taught during COVID to make an amazing tuna melt. If you haven't seen the video, please check it out. We are deeply grateful for his leadership, his partnership, his unwavering belief in the power of CDFIs to create lasting change. Please join me in giving a OFN 41 warm welcome for our Senator, Senator Mark Warner. Always an honor, sir. Always an honor.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. It is great to be back at an OFN conference, OFN 41. John, thank you for that introduction. I don't know if all of you got the reference to the tuna melt, but if you got 2 minutes of your life to waste, Google Mark Warner tuna melt. This was quickly in the early days of COVID, and everybody was doing like heartfelt videos, making their mom's or grandma's cookies, or my dear friend Tim Kaine played harmonica and sang a song. I made the grossest tuna melt ever. And I'm sad to say it got more hits and melted down the internet than any policy presentation I've ever made. So, and boy, we need a moment of lightness in these days. And with apologies to my fellow Virginians, you know, John did mention the fact that I was really proud as governor that we started the Virginia Community Capital that's now become Locus. And one of the reasons why you guys are so important in my mind is because as first person in my family to graduate from college, and then lucky enough to go to law school, I became an entrepreneur. I still remember my very first business venture. I took my life savings, $5,000, invested it in a little energy company. In 6 weeks, I helped the company go broke. I then moved on to real estate. Took me 6 months to fail there. But on my third try, now this was 1982, I got involved in this brand new industry called cell phones. And I'd been lucky enough to go to Harvard Law School, and so I went to all my Harvard Law School classmates and said, guys, we ought to invest in this new thing called cell phones. Every one of them said, Warner, get a real job. Now, they're still practicing law, but what I hope I was at least self-aware enough to know that if I had not been a white guy with the appropriate education, I might not have got that third chance or that second chance or even that first chance. And the promise of America ought to be, we can't guarantee everybody's success, but we sure as hell ought to be able to guarantee everybody a fair shot. And at its heart, that is what you guys do. You find that spark of human potential in every person. You take that potential deal or entrepreneur or housing project that traditional finance might say, well, this is too remote or this is too tough a neighborhood. And yet you say no. Access to capital, access to having a chance to live out your American dream is so critically important. And I am proud to be an advocate for CDFIs and for OFN. I'm proud for what you have taught me over the years that I've been involved. And I know, oh my God, I know what a challenging time this is. Candidly, the hypocrisy of what is going on. We all know, that there are some folks, particularly at OMB, who've had it out for CDFIs since the beginning of this administration. And with, I think, frankly, the illegal firing that Russ Vought put in place 10 days ago, where even after they tried to eliminate CDFIs at the front end of the administration, and we pushed back successfully, they tried again. And what is so stunning and so much a rebuttal of what they're doing, and there is actually going to be a good news at the end of this story. But we all know this is, OFN 41, because this was not some newfangled program. 1994, CDFIs and the CDFI Fund is in statute. You can't just arbitrarily say, no, we're going to get rid of it. And the amazing thing as well, and this is the part that is so unusual with this administration. In many ways, Donald Trump has been the single biggest funder of CDFIs in your history. It was in 2019, in the last COVID bill, that we secured $12 billion. And Donald Trump went on national TV and talked about how important this was, particularly to lending into minority communities. We also know as well who you represent and who you work for, whether it's inner city Detroit or rural Appalachia in Southwest Virginia. You make that economic opportunity available for Americans everywhere. And what is so stunning is after we pushed back at the first effort to try to shut our industry down, we were successful. And the amazing thing is, during the otherwise pretty damn ugly big bill, in that bill, we made new market tax credits permanent, which is administered, as you well know, by the CDFI Fund. And the remarkable thing, and again, this is one of those little interior factoids that only kind of are relevant in the craziness of Capitol Hill. Literally the night before the Grim Reaper Russ Vought tried to eliminate the office, Congress was amending the defense bill to add more possibilities to the CDFI industry. For example, creation of a secondary market for your debt. So this is all going on where we have this support. And then, not out of the blue, but frankly, I think out of meanness and spite, came down this effort to shut down the fund. But do not give up and take hope. And the reason is this. We saw this in the spring when we put together for the first time under President Trump a bipartisan pushback when we got that letter together when they first tried this. Things have gotten crazier, obviously, since then. And my dear friend Mike Crapo, who has become a champion of CDFIs as well, he is, and we ought to give Crapo, because the craziness of the current time, he is putting together and Mike and I are working so closely on this, a Republican-only letter, House and Senate. And I think you will find the numbers on that letter are going to be much higher than what we saw in the spring. I can tell you, I know I think about 14 Republican senators already, and I think we're close to 35 or 40 Republican House members. When you go to these offices, when you go to these offices that have signed on and those that should sign on, you know, please express appreciation. This will be, because I've been so disappointed with my Republican friends, so unwilling to push back against this administration on any subject. When this letter goes out, this will be the biggest show of Republican support pushing back on the Trump administration on any issue in the first 10 months. And if that doesn't give you hope, if finally it's CDFIs that becomes the rallying point where on certain issues we're going to say, no, that is a bridge too far. It is because this issue is not urban, it's not rural, it's not Democrat, it's not Republican. It is about making sure everybody in this country gets that fair shot that I got afforded. And you guys are the tip of the spear. So what you do day in and day out, oftentimes without appropriate recognition, is worth the fight. You being here, 2,300 strong, you know, crashing the hill this afternoon. You are working on a noble cause. You are working on a just cause. You provide opportunity for a whole lot of Americans that otherwise, without your presence, wouldn't have that opportunity. You are about the potential of America. And today, go up there, kick some ass, say an extra special thank you to Republicans who are willing to push back, and nudge the ones who aren't there yet. Because together, standing up for what's right in America, standing up for that fair shot and fair chance is candidly the absolute promise of our country. And when it's under so much assault, this is a battle we cannot lose. Together, we're going to win. Thank you, OFN. Thank you, CDFIs. Get up there and kick some ass.